Hi, I'm Greta Van Riel, and you guys leave a ton of comments on my YouTube videos that I do with Foundr. So I'm going to dive in and answer some of those questions now. So first up we have, it's just generally depressing making little money from the day job, putting it into paid ads and not really getting any sales. Just makes me wish there was a way to advertise greatly without spending a fortune on ads and influencers. The very first point and the starting foundation for any e-commerce store is making sure that you have a really strong product and differentiation within that product as well. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on paid ads. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on influencers. If your product isn't solving a problem and if it isn't really obvious to the consumer exactly what that pain point is and how your product will solve it, it's just going to be difficult to get traction. So the first thing that I would make sure is that you have a really strong product and value proposition there as well. If you're a little lost for how to come up with that value proposition, have a read through some of the reviews of similar products online to what you're offering and find some of the most common complaints and just inform the customer on how your product fixes or solves those problems or complaints. So that's the absolute starting point. Greta, my site sells products for the home and we have a large range of products. What would be a good landing page photo without showcasing just one or two items? Thank you. I would definitely go to other big brands within your homewares niche for this one. That could be IKEA, Williams-Sonoma, Pottery Barn. Go through and have a look at some of their homepage imagery and have a look at the way that they're kind of just displaying those products in a lifestyle sort of setting. Probably a styled room featuring, your homewares products would make a lot of sense. You could even, have little labels against what each product is within the room to show, which ones are yours versus just the lifestyle or backdrop images. So yeah, moving on to our next question. Would love to know how you deal with influencers who ghosted you even after multiple follow-ups. Okay, so it depends whether you're running a paid or unpaid collaboration here. So if you're not paying the influencer, the best way to think about this for a product for post campaign, for example, it's product seeding, basically. It's kind of like when you send a press release out to different media publications. You might send that to 50 publications and only a few of those publications will pick up your press release and actually publish an article on you. It's quite similar when it comes to influencers as well. And if the influencer did receive your product and potentially, didn't have necessarily the best experience or didn't have a overall, positive reaction to that product, it's probably a lot more risk averse to not continue following up with them too much in case they post something kind of negative about your product. So I would be a little self-protective there. And influencers, are inherently busy people. You do need to make sure that you set, deliverables and expectations and have an appealing enough offer from the outset as well. Some products will appeal to influencers inherently more than others. If your product maybe isn't as appealing, it might be a financial services company or something like that. You could think about putting together more of a PR package around that. Something that's really trending at the moment is brands doing those customized cakes that have their brand name or a bit of a fun slogan or UVP on top of the cake. And then the influencers, have that kind of shareable moment to celebrate while talking about your brand and your offer. So I think building in more shareability into that process would be great. And if you're working in a paid collaboration, you definitely want to make sure that, you're only paying the influencer potentially 50% upfront and 50% upon completion. And also if you pay via PayPal, for example, you always have the option to be able to kind of drag back those funds if the influencer doesn't complete that transaction. So if it's happening to you quite frequently, there's probably kind of a bit of an issue in your processes around how you're handling the collaborations. So I would look back through and see, where the drop-off point is there. Greta, can you speak about setting up bank accounts and how much should be in them to start? When I started Skinny Me Tea, I had $24 in my bank account, so it really depends. The reason that I had $24 in my bank account, because people always debate it, they're like, well, how did you start a brand? Is that I could hand make my product. It was tea blends. And I would pre-sell the product during the week and then I would hand blend the product on the weekends. So, that's an example of how you can start off with a low budget product. If that is of interest to you guys, like if you don't have a really high budget to start a brand, I would be looking into researching products on Etsy, for example, or on Pinterest, like how to create X product, like how to create a sugar lip scrub, for example, and packaging that up and sending it. People want a done for them product or a done for them service. They don't want to do it themselves a lot of the time. Whereas with a watch company, for example, it's going to be a lot of a higher investment. So it just depends on the product that you're looking to sell. But I would start off with like an easier to create, like lower cost product if you have budget constraints, because that's exactly what I did, because I did have budget constraints. And then in terms of setting up bank accounts, yeah, it's going to depend whether you want to operate as a sole trader or as a business. I guess there's like legal and tax sort of like benefits to operating as a business, but it's all again a budget question for you. If you don't have the budget to be able to set that up from the outset, you just have to weigh up those risks and the benefits there for yourself. So that is how I would answer that one. What if the influencer asks for dollars instead of receiving your product? I would just do a bit of an influencer account audit if you do have budget. If you don't have budget, just let them know that you don't have budget for this campaign. Would they consider just doing stories instead of a post? Like that's one thing. You could lower the deliverables of the campaign to try to just get the product into their hands if you're still interested in working with them. You could move on to the next influencer because you can only push something so far and just like cut your losses and move on to the next person to chat to. And, you know, we could debate the price, for example. We could say, okay, you know, they've offered $200 and be like, look, I've got, you know, we're just a brand starting out. I do have $100 for this. You just want to do a bit of an influencer account audit first to make sure that they're going to be worth spending $100 on. So looking into kind of their engagement, any past brand collaborations. If you look at past brand collaborations, interesting thing that you could work out would be the cost per engagement. So say it's $100 and they got 100 comments, that's like $1 per comment. That would be a really pretty great price. Or if it's $100 but they got 20 likes, that would be like a few dollars per like, which would be a pretty terrible investment in my eyes. So just have a look, do a bit of an account audit, think about cost per engagement when you're looking at that, and yeah, consider moving on to another influencer if it doesn't suit you and your brand's purposes. So those were a few of your questions that I've seen lately. If you do have any burning e-commerce questions, please do leave them in the comments below so that we can get to them in later videos, because they were really fun to answer. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, hope you're loving our videos and that you're getting heaps of value from them. If you are, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to join the Foundr Fam. If you did enjoy this video and want to continue to master your skills, make sure you click here to access your free training now, where we'll go into way more depth with this founder.